So we're moving down to the multiple choice questions. Actually, they're not all multiple choice. Number 4 is our last short answer one. So similar problem, except this time I'm not in a quadrant. It says the sine of b is 0.28 and b is a positive acute angle. So I don't really have to draw it in a quadrant or anything. I can just draw a picture here. Now, one thing I am going to do, if I take 0.28 and I change it over to a fraction, that's 7/25. You could work with 0.28 and 1 or 28 and 100 on your triangle, but I'm just going to use those two numbers. So this is opposite over hypotenuse for sine. So if I put angle B here, this would be 7/25. Now we did one of these before. I don't know if you guys remember, but this is a triple. So this ends up being a 7/24/25 triangle. You could always use Pythagorean theorem if you don't remember that one. Here's what we're finding. This has the formula 2 sine of b cosine of b. So that's my sine of a double angle formula. So then I'm just going to look for these two values. Okay. So the sine of b, we already know from the problem, is 0.28 or 7/25. Okay. And the cosine of b is 24/25 for my triangle. So if I type that in my calculator, I'm going to get the value for sine 2b. So we'll do that now. So just to save a little time, I'm not going to make fractions. So 7/25 times 24/25. So that's 0.5376. I'm going to change it to a fraction. So 336/625, and that sounds crazy, but we see that there's really nothing that simplifies here, and 25 times 25 would be 625. So 336/625. So I actually want you to take a second and look at the next three and just kind of see how they're different from some of the other problems that we've done before. Okay, so you'll notice that these actually kind of look like the formula. So what we're doing is we're looking for things that look like a formula and then using a substitution. So this is in the form 2 sine A cosine A, if I look at this. So that looks like our sine of a double angle formula. So I know that 2 sine A cosine A is equal to the sine of 2a. So this is just using those formulas on this page in a different way, right? So here's my sine of a double angle formula. Make this a little bigger so we can see it a little better now that we're not using the calculator. So down here, now I look at my choices. So I'm pretty sure I'm working with something with sine. So I'm going to cross out these two, and these should be 3 and 4, not double 1 and 2s. So now I need to figure out, is that the sine of 25 or the sine of 100? Now here, A is 50, right? That's in the same spot. So 2A is going to be 2 times 50 or 100. So this is equal to the sine of 100 degrees. So that's the choice right here. So the next few are kind of the same. We're kind of looking at our formulas and figuring out which one it would be. So here I have a cosine of 130. And I have these different formulas that kind of look like the cosine of the double angle. So I'm going to look back at my cosine of double angle formulas. So I have a cosine squared minus sine squared A, 2 cosine squared A minus 1, and 1 minus 2 sine squared A. So looking at this, these two kind of look like one of my formulas. This looks like something that came from the Pythagorean identities. The other is like no 2 there. Okay, and this, I don't know, that kind of looks like somebody thought they could just cut it, cut that in half and then put a 2 in front, which isn't one of our ways things work. So if this is the cosine of 2A form, that means A is half of 130, which is 65. So this formula is the one that's correct, because this one doubled the angle, but this is where we should just see the cosine A. The cosine 2A is in this part. Okay, so number 2 is the correct choice. So the next one is kind of similar. This matches the 2 cosine squared A minus 1 side of the cosine of a double angle identity. Okay, so if this is A, so A equals 60, 2A should be 120. So I'm looking for cosine of 120 here. Okay, I would have crossed out the signs first thing because this formula doesn't really relate to sine. And then it's just a matter of, are we doubling it or halving it? Which direction are we going on with that formula? So there's a couple more multiple choice on the next page. Definitely pause the video, try this one. Actually, now that looks super familiar. Okay, actually it's not quite the same. The numbers are just similar to one we did before. So which of the following is equal to sine of 10? So looking at these, I notice that these kind of look like the cosine double angle or sine double angle formulas. This is sine, so I'm going to cross out the ones that look like the cosine of a double angle formulas. So if we say sine of 10 is the sine of 2a, okay, then we need something that's 2 times the sine of a times the cosine of a. So if 2a is 10, a is just 5. So over here I should have 2 times the sine of 5 times the cosine of 5. So that's equivalent to this one. Our last formula we're looking at has to do with the cosine of a double angle. So we have cosine of A equals 1/3. And one thing that's interesting here is my cosine of A is 1/3, but all my possible answers are negative. So it's kind of good to think about, well, how does that happen? And basically, let's assume that this came from an angle in quadrant 1. So I don't know, let's say the angle's 70. Not correct at all, but let's just say that angle's 70. If I double that angle, it would become 140. That puts me in quadrant 2, okay, where cosine is negative. So that's part of this, like these formulas take care of those like changing from positives to negatives as I make angles bigger or have them or anything like that. So I'm going to use, from my cosine 2a formulas, I'm going to use the one just with cosine in it, so I don't have to do very much work. So we're going to use our 2 cosine squared a minus 1 formula. So 2 cosine squared a minus 1. Now we're back to, we do not know this angle. Like the last few, we've known the angle. So here, I'm just plugging something in for cosine a, not just for a. So the cosine is going away, and in its place is going the cosine of a, which is 1/3. So this is 2, just to show you can do these by hand, times 1/9 minus 1. When I square this, I get 1/9. So this is 2/9 minus 1, which is 2/9 minus 9/9 if I made an LCD. So this is -7/9, which is choice 1. So those are just a couple different ways you can work with these double angle formulas. As I said, just seeing them and understanding they're out there and different things we do with them will help you when you do more stuff in pre-calc next year.